Welcome back. Hurricane season begins in a couple of weeks. Last year, during Hurricane Ian, 149 people died on Florida's west coast because officials failed to adequately warn residents of the need to evacuate. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber has been trying to piece together what happened so he can learn from it.
As the mayor of a barrier island, when you see that happen on the other side of the state to another barrier island community, what goes through your mind, and how do you look at that, or do you look at that and play out those scenarios? How would we have handled it here? What do we learn from that? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, by the way, it's exactly what you do, because 149 people really shouldn't die, in this century. Frankly, the last time that many people died in a Florida hurricane was 1935. So it's almost a century ago, before all of the advances of meteorological predictive tools and all the other things we have, like communication networks. So that really shouldn't happen. So of course, a city like mine, the county and the state ought to be looking at how did that happen and what do we do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And in the course of that, my understanding is you tried to get some documentation. Like, I think the governor promised an after action report, and I believe you recently tried to see if there was ever a report written. What's the status of it? Do you know?
Yeah, well, we've been very focused. My city's been very focused on this. Our emergency managers, our fire department, as well as the county since the hurricane, because obviously with so many barrier islands in Dade County, you want to know what happened. Was there a problem with the evacuation? Was it messaging? Why did so many elderly people die? Was there a problem with special needs evacuations? So in October, the governor said there would be an after action review, which we were looking forward to, because obviously that's the best way to prepare for that kind of peril. But apparently there has been no after action work done by the state of Florida. And so, our county and our city will go it alone.
How do you, I guess one of the questions becomes, who ultimately is responsible here? I think the governor during that time was telling folks, listen to your local authorities, listen to your local officials. So is it, I guess, I don't know if it's a all of the above answer, but it seems like there was a delay in particularly Charlotte County, where a lot of the deaths occurred, in announcing an evacuation or ordering an evacuation. Is that on them? Is there someone who's like the governor who should have the larger picture and be more forceful? How do you view that as a mayor yourself?
Well, Lee County delayed, even though it was next door to Charlotte County, and about almost half the deaths were there. And look, one of the problems, clearly, if you listen to people who survived, is they said they didn't know they had to leave. And we have so many new residents in Florida, especially in South Florida, in my city and throughout the county, that many of them may not understand that evacuation means you got to go, not that it's just something you could stick around and ride out with, especially in a low-lying area like my city or others. I think there was a problem in communication, obviously, because too many people stayed behind. There was a problem in evacuation timing because too many people didn't have enough time to evacuate. Those are questions we've got to figure out, because the weather is not getting better. We know that. Climate events are more extreme, and we have to figure out in practice exactly how we're going to and what we're going to do. And although that's a county decision in most respects, it is a state decision from a sort of, you've always seen the governor giving people warning. I remember Governor Scott, telling people who were outside of the zone, get ready to leave, it's dangerous, it's really bad, and sort of trying to ring the alarm very loudly, because the governor has the most significant voice in the state, and his emergency managers, are really fuller and more fulsome than everybody else's. So to a great extent, the governor is the de facto leader of any emergency management crisis, and what he says is what is most important. And telling people to listen to whatever someone else is saying probably isn't sufficient. But I think we need to look at that. And that's why we need an after action report, because if it's a communication issue, then we need to certainly address that before the next hurricane. And a hurricane season begins in a couple of weeks.
I'm sure you probably do drills.
Yeah, our city is very sophisticated. We do a tabletop exercise every year where we test ourselves. this year, I know Mayor Levine Cava and I have been talking about doing a countywide sort of effort to deal with some of the issues from Hurricane Ian. My commission actually allocated money so that we could, beef up our exercises to incorporate some of Hurricane Ian's concerns. Look, when 149 people die in a hurricane, in a slow-moving hurricane, something happened, because that nobody can say those deaths were inevitable and there was nothing we could have done about it. So we've got to explore that, not to place blame, but rather to figure out what went wrong and make sure it doesn't happen elsewhere. Imagine in the southeast coast, where the population concentration is so much more than the Naples area. Imagine what would happen here if the exact same thing happened. We don't want to imagine. We want to prepare for it.
I can't help but wonder if, when the storm was coming, at the time, of course, we were still dealing with COVID and the effects of the pandemic, and the governor had made the argument that we're a free state, that people have to take individual responsibility, and so therefore it's not really government's place to tell people to wear masks or to do certain mandatory things. And so I almost wonder if that mentality, when it came to his approach to COVID, ended up having some impact on how he dealt with Hurricane Ian as approached.
Well, that's why we need to figure out what happened. I mean, and you're right. I mean, telling people to listen to their local, county emergency management person is accurate. They should do that, obviously. But the governor has a very unique a bullhorn. And I remember my predecessor, Philip Levine, when there was a big hurricane coming, was literally on TV screaming at people to leave. I've seen other governors do that because they know people will listen to them. And that's why we all say the same thing, by the way, because we want everybody to act in the same way. I'm very disappointed in the aftermath as much as anything, because 149 people dying is a spectacular tragedy that's unprecedented in almost a century in a Florida hurricane. Every other time there has been, something like this, in my experience, the governors and the legislatures focus on it. After Hurricane Andrew, Governor Childs and the legislature fixed the building code, started CAT funds to protect people and property. After 9/11, Jeb Bush, top to bottom review of our terrorism, our anti-terrorism effort in the state of Florida. All of this was bipartisan. All of it was just, let's figure it out, let's solve this because it's too big a problem. We have been focused on, Mickey Mouse and pronouns and all this other silliness, rather than focusing on what is really important, which is making sure we're safe if we have one of these events again.
We'll be right back.